A new tropical wave will emerge off Africa this weekend and then have a shot to develop sometime over the next 7 to 10 days into our next named storm. We'll speak on that, get very detailed, and then we'll speak on an area a little bit closer to home for what we call homegrown activity. And then for my fall weather fans, I got you some updated information on this cooler air, even chillier than what we've seen so far this week, that will drop down to the lower 48 and just reinforce just cooler, drier, fall-like air mass that we've already seen and been blessed with, right? But we're going to get even more of this as we get into the first several days of September. So after that, we'll speak on today's weather, and then we'll run off into our weekend, a weekend that I consider one of the best weekends of the year. It's the gateway to the best time of the year, in my opinion. But anyways, if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. Let's make sure it's going to work for us. We'll circle a couple things. We'll start off by giving you an update on the tropics. Watching a lot of unsettled weather off the coast of the southeast. This is being indicated by these colder cloud tops and these colors here. Taller updrafts, taller up it gets, the colder it gets, and this is reflected by the colors you see on your screen. Anything else out there worth really circling? No, nothing in the Caribbean, Southwest Atlantic. Gulf is good, little bit of activity here in the northern Gulf, but nothing that we're worrying about as far as tropical activity. A lot of our eyes are starting to focus out here, and I know this is pretty close to my face here, but we're going to watch a wave that will emerge over this area of the eastern Atlantic and then have a shot to develop, I don't know, somewhere into here over the next 7 days or so. And I'm about to show you the actual graphic from the National Hurricane Center here in a second, but this is kind of the area we're going to be watching regarding tropical activity, really for the foreseeable future, I would say. So let's speak on that first. But first off, I do want to show you just the graphic from the National Hurricane Center. Let's make sure we don't have a new update here because it is getting close to the 8 a.m. update, and we don't. So right now, you see this yellow area. It's saying basically a tropical wave is forecast to emerge off the west coast of Africa on Sunday. And then somewhere in this yellow area, it will have a 30% chance to develop into a depression or maybe our next named storm, which is Gabrielle, the G name. So we're watching this. The National Hurricane Center has seen it for the last really few days. They honestly caught on to this before model guidance really locked on to it. So very impressive by the experts from the National Hurricane Center, of course, as always. But let's go over some model guidance. Let's first go over the Euro. And we're going to start this off Sunday afternoon. This is when this wave will really begin to emerge off Africa. So if you kind of keep your eyes on this part of the screen down here, you're going to see a lot of green, splashes of yellow, orange, red if you're new to the channel. And you know, you're not sure what you're looking at here. That is your tropical activity. If you're not new, then you probably have heard me say that about a million times, right? So we're going to move forward, and I am having some internet issues this morning. So we're going to try to work through this the best way we can. But starting off for our Labor Day morning, we got some tropical activity here. Nothing really developing yet. We continue to move forward. We get into a Tuesday morning, September the 2nd. Starts to show an L right here on your screen, indicating some sort of lower pressure out here in what we call the MDR, main development region. Now, we continue to move forward. Wednesday, we get into Thursday. This looks to get a little bit stronger. It's a little bit more defined on your screen, right? And then we start to get into Friday. And if the Euro is correct, dead on, it's not supposed to be viewed like this, it's just model guidance, then we could have close to a tropical storm at this point, which would be a named storm, Gabrielle. But this continues, kind of stays low in latitude, low enough to where we really need to keep our eye on it. We get into late next weekend, like this is September the 7th, and this starts to develop into a decent and straight tropical storm, but then it gains some latitude, loses some strength, and then, you know, ultimately just kind of stays out to sea. Doesn't really bother anybody, but it's a clear sign that we're going to have some sort of tropical system to potentially track. Now, what about the GFS? Does it show anything? We move forward. Here's the wave. GFS is locked onto it now. That's an obvious, pretty stout tropical wave, and you know, we continue to move forward into, it's a little bit slower in the Euro, into about Friday of next week, September the 5th. And this is just cruising along, and it's just a weak tropical wave. It doesn't look alarming to really any of us at this point, except maybe the fish out in the ocean, the surface of the ocean. But so that's the GFS. What about the Euro AI model? It pretty much follows what the other two models show. Just a weak tropical wave. The Euro AI doesn't really ever develop this into anything worrisome or anything like that. And I will tell you, before we get deeper in this video, really between now and about September, I would say until about a week deep into September, I really don't think this area of the Atlantic is very favorable for tropical development, at least sustained tropical development. I still think we're just kind of in an unfavorable, what we call MJO phase. A lot of sinking air out here. I think that changes as we get much closer to like the 10th of September, which I've been saying, if you've been tuning in for the last several videos, I've been saying the 10th of September is just kind of that date mark I'm watching. Bookmark that date. I really think that's when hurricane season is going to have the next push, significant push as far as threatening scenarios. The icon, it shows it too. So, I mean, even these models we don't pay as much attention to, it shows a wave too, but it gains latitude pretty fast. So what about, say, the Euro Ensemble? It is really locked on to this signal. This is between now and the next week. And I know that it's always funny reading the Facebook and Twitter comments. It says attack of the L's. And it really does look like that. Just attack of the low pressures, right? But no, that's not the way this is supposed to be viewed. This is the Euro Ensemble, makes up 51 members. And if that specific member develops a low pressure that's decent in strength, it'll throw an L on your screen. So please don't think this is like 25, 30 low pressure. So now I got that out of the way. Just view this as a signal that there's going to be some sort of tropical energy right here. Now we even go, say, 10 days out. And honestly, that's a little bit more of a worrisome look because some of these members are getting stronger. Remember, the lower the millibar this gets, the stronger the low pressure, the stronger the tropical system. And some of these, the ones that do develop, get awfully close. Some of them get very close to the Leeward Islands, and they're starting to turn, but, it's close. So what about, what you take from this is that this is a clear signal that this wave that's going to come off Africa this weekend has a good shot to develop. Now, this is the GFS Ensemble about a week out. This only makes up 21 members, so naturally you're not going to see as many L's, but most of the L's from this ensemble run show up. So we'll just keep that a week out. No point in going 10 days out. We still got a lot to figure out. But I would say watch a little bit closer to home. Even though model guidance really isn't showing anything, this is energy in the lower levels of the atmosphere. So that you see the colors in yellow and some oranges and stuff that you see on your screen. This is where there's energy in about 4,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air. And this is a good thing to look at when we're trying to find just kind of a spin in the low levels of the atmosphere. And I would watch just the northern Gulf and then off the coast of the southeast. And honestly, even though there's a lot of frontal boundaries around, I would say the overnight model into this morning's model guidance really isn't showing anything to worry about as far as frontal homegrown activity. I think we've been very lucky with this so far. Of course, we got Chantal that delivered some nasty flooding to North Carolina. But, I'm very surprised we haven't had more homegrown activity out of this season yet. It seems like we've had a lot of stalled boundaries, but things have just not popped off. Just goes to show you that even sometimes, like, honestly, if you would have asked me about a month ago and told me, hey, there was going to be a bunch of cold fronts boundaries around, I would say absolutely. We're definitely going to get some sort of tropical storm off homegrown activity, but we haven't. And if you're wondering, Mitch, what does homegrown activity mean? Well, that's when we have just a lot of stalled boundaries in place, a lot of convection, blobs of showers and storm activity that hang out like over the open waters of the northern Gulf or off the coast of the southeast for a little bit too long, start to develop some sort of low-level feature or spin, and then all of a sudden you got a weak tropical storm. And that's what happened with Chantal. So what about the GFS? Does it show any kind of spin-ups? No. I mean, there's not even a good example to show you on here. I mean, maybe this little area right here, but there's not even a clear cyclonic circulation with the wind barbs. So, yeah, I mean, there's not really anything overly concerning showing up on guidance right now. But what I can tell you is the Global Tropics Hazard Outlook from the Climate Prediction Center still likes the 3rd from the 9th, watching a tropical wave, which is the tropical wave we just discussed out here in the MDR. Says a 20% chance of tropical development. Now, this was issued, 4 days ago? So we'll have a new graphic Labor Day, I believe. But this is what I'm talking about, the 10th through the 16th. Not only do we need to watch the Southern Gulf, the Western Caribbean, out here in the main development region, but now they got a 40% chance of tropical development in this area here. So what I'm wondering what I'm wondering, are they seeing already a higher end potential for more tropical waves? And I think there will inevitably to emerge off Africa. And it would make sense, guys. Now, this is the part that could throw some people for a loop, but I'm going to explain this the most simplest way possible. And I know the graphics are pretty small. If I made them big, it's going to throw the entire rest of the video for a loop. And I don't want to mess with my internet too much and mess up my graphics because they might not reload. Spectrum, our internet service, just having some issues this morning. I was scared I was going to have to just not be able to do the video, but it worked out. But it's working out so far. But anyways, what time frame are we in? The 28th to the 3rd of September. So we're in this little part right here. We've already ran through all this. We're in this area right here. Okay, so the green, and I know it's small, just work with me here. The green is rising air. So a lot of this is over the Pacific right now. Here's the lower 48 right here. You know, we're going to try to make this bigger. I don't even care if it'll let me. It won't. So it doesn't matter what I want to do. But you see the brown here? That is sinking air. So honestly, this wave that's going to be emerging off Africa is going to be moving into the Atlantic Basin that's not really favorable for tropical development. And even as we get through the 4th and the 10th of September, now what you see here is some of this rising air is starting to emerge more into, the Western Atlantic, which is the Gulf and the Caribbean, but still a lot of sinking air over the main North Atlantic area. Now, once we get after the 10th, see all this green over South America, North America, and starting to get into the Atlantic. I'm telling you, after the 10th, into this segment right here, it is game on. And I'm not trying to freak anybody out, I'm just being real. But this, once we get to the 10th onward, I'm telling you, we're going to enter a favorable phase, and things are going to pop off in hurricane season. We're going to get another push. It blows my mind how people just think that, we get a lull in hurricane season that is over. You guys know, we had Helene at the end of September. We've had Hurricane Michael. We've had many horrible tropical systems in late September into October. So we're not even close to done. I hope we're done. Or if anything that develops stays out in the ocean. But I just don't think we are. But anyways, moving past this, and that graphic was from Peyton, but it's from a site that I don't honestly know how to use. And I tried to figure it out for about 2 minutes this morning. I was like, okay, I got to move along. But anyways, an update on this cold. We're not going to get as detailed with this update as we did say in yesterday morning's video, but the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, this was issued yesterday. This goes from the 4th of September through the 8th, and it's going to be cooler all the way up to the 4th in many of these areas already. But a big cold front's going to drop down, the biggest one of the season. And, if you live in these blue areas, if your state is in blue, you have a shot at below average temperatures. If you live in like the purple areas, like right here, that's where you have a high-end chance at below average temperatures. So here it comes. If you didn't get a really good taste of that cooler air this week, you're going to have another shot at it with this. The thing that blows my mind is it keeps extending outward. At this point, this is the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. The 6th through the 12th of September. We're almost burning up the first half of September, but we're not burning up. We're cooling off. And it still looks like they're leaning towards below average temperatures. Now, this is going to be a more boring graphic, but let me tell you how this has changed. And I wish I could find the old week's 3 to 4 temperature outlook, but these issue once a week, I think every Friday. And the one from last Friday had much of the country with above average temperatures in the 3 to 4 week outlook. Now, obviously, we bumped up another week, but they're already starting to see signs that it's going to be hard to break this pattern. So this is running from the 13th to the 26th of September. Now going for just equal chances. Could be below average, could be around average, could be above average temperature-wise. So, they're leaning towards definitely above average temperatures across the northern plains and areas of the Rockies and maybe the Northeast, but just slightly above average chances. But yeah, so you look at the temperature anomalies, temperatures compared to average, the blues, that's a few degrees to maybe several degrees below average. And once you start to see greens, that's like 8 to 9 to 10 degrees below average or more. So this blue you're seeing on your map, this is getting into the morning of the 2nd of September, this is just the lingering air mass in place. And then it reinforces itself with a cold front that dives down. And these greens you see right here, folks, I mean, this is 10 to as much as 15, in some cases 20 degrees below average. I would not be surprised for my folks tuning in from the UP and Michigan if some areas get maybe a rain-snow mix. And we'll talk more on that as we get closer. But this air mass just continues to drop down, and this is getting into Friday. So if you're thinking, we're looking out with a nice weekend of college football, it's going to be kind of raining in areas of the South with the weather, temperature, and you're like, there ain't no way we're going to get 2 weekends in a row of this. Well, there is a way, and it's probably going to happen next week, and we're going to get another phenomenal weekend of cooler temperatures. So this is just wild to me. And we've been talking about this for over a week, and we go 10 days out, and we're still hanging in below average temperatures all the way out to the 9th, the 10th. So, I've just never seen this since actively following the weather. Such a long pattern that favors below average temperatures. I mean, and some of y'all might laugh at me, but sometimes I do jump on that Weather Channel app that sometimes I diss on. But I like it because I like to see what the Weather Channel app, especially in the winter, is saying compared to Model Guides. Because sometimes that Weather Channel app and your default iPhone weather apps, they will lead you astray in the winter. It'll say 4 to 6 inches of snow forecast when like literally one model out of tons of model guidance shows it. But it's even when I hop on the 10-day forecast, 15-day forecast, it makes me smile because all I can see in my neck of the woods in Columbia, South Carolina, is just highs in the low to mid 80s and lows in like the low to mid 60s. And some people might argue, Mitch, that's not really a cold front. It is for the South. When you have low humidity, that is absolutely nice conditions when it could be 90 to 95 degrees this time of the year, even into September. So enjoy it, guys. Really enjoy it. Try not to complain too much about it. I know some people just don't like any form or fashion of cooler air, but this doesn't happen a lot. As far as weather right now, a lot of shower activity in the low country of South Carolina, Georgia, off the coast of the Southeast, along the Gulf coastline, just offshore. We got rain kind of just riding through Texas, a little bit of moisture across the high plains. We got a low pressure embedded in the trough, spinning some showers around the Northeast. That's current conditions. Watches, warnings, and advisories. Some heat advisories in Southern Cal. We got some dense fog advisories in the upper Midwest. Flood watches across the middle of the country areas in New Mexico. As far as severe weather chances, well, they don't even have a marginal risk on the map. But there is a risk of flash flooding. If you live in these yellow areas, that's where we have a 15% chance of flash flooding within 25 miles in a given location. So be aware of that. Southeast, just a lot of moisture sort of dancing around. Low country of South Carolina points south into Florida. A lot of clouds, a lot of chances of rain, a little weak low pressure hanging out in the northern Gulf. This is very common when you have a frontal boundary just kind of locked in place. And this is what I'm talking about with homegrown activity. Now, you see all this kind of just shower and storm action off the coast of Southeast. Sometimes this can get going. Develop a low pressure, and we do need to watch out for that as we get into later this weekend. But I do think Model Guides has trended way offshore with any kind of low developing. And I don't know if it's going to be really fully tropical in nature, but that's the Southeast, Northeast, with some showers drifting around, kind of a cooler weekend, especially once you get in the northern areas of New England. Showers kind of drifting around, not a big deal though. The South Central U.S., waves of showers and storms will be ejecting off the Rockies. So, we get into this evening, if you've got some games you're going to for college football, things like that, in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, you're probably going to have to dodge some storms for the day. But, we get into later this evening, we're probably going to have a big complex of heavy rain and showers and storms surging through the state of Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Rainfall between now and the next, pretty much between now and tomorrow evening. Good bit of rain in Texas. Listen, I would soak up this rain. It can get very dry in the fall in these areas of the country, especially in the high plains. So really, really soak up this rain. Enjoy the rain. Appreciate it, because I'm telling you, we get a lot of dry cold fronts in the high plains once we get deeper into fall, as y'all know. But up here in the north central U.S., just some storms in Nebraska possible, South Dakota. The upper Midwest seems fine. Nothing really to speak on. And then the Western U.S. is what you're looking at. Not as widespread activity today as what we've seen this past week. But yeah, temperatures. This is what you're looking at. Cooler day in the Northeast. Some warmer air in certain areas. Pockets of cool air where we're stuck in the clouds and rain. Temperatures out west. This is what we're looking at. Man, we continue to pump out these videos pretty fast and efficient. So no devotion this morning. We'll try to get back to that tomorrow morning. But hey, that's all I got. Guys, y'all have a wonderful weekend. I know I got a jam-packed weekend. I got a soccer game in less than an hour and a half, actually, so I need to get on the road. Hope you all have a wonderful Labor Day weekend, at least start to it. Enjoy, relax. I think I've talked to you guys about how serious I take my health and working out, and I'm on a big time fitness journey that I've been doing and taking it very, very serious over the last couple years, tracking what I eat, working out, and stuff like that. But I've been on a cut since late March all the way till now. Lost a good bit of weight. And if you're not very familiar with the fitness process and stuff, you got bulking and cutting and things like that. But when you cut, you really have to be strict, not eat anything bad. Doesn't mean you're not going to get progress, but it'll slow it down. So I haven't been able to eat pizza but like once or twice, and that was really just on vacation back in June. And for people that's been tuning in for a while, you guys know that is by far my favorite food is pizza. So I'm going to enjoy me some pizza tonight, watch some college football. My team plays tomorrow. Let me know in the comments who you're a fan of. I would love to know. I'm a big Gamecock fan, so we play Virginia Tech tomorrow at 3 in Atlanta. So excited about this weekend, guys. But y'all have a wonderful day. God bless, and we'll talk again tomorrow morning.